I think most of you know about Pope John XII. You know, the Pope who nearly bankrupted the Catholic Church. Do you think that's bad enough? Well, get ready, because John wasn't the only controversial pope the Church ever had. They have another one in the person of Benedict IX, one of the youngest popes in history and the only man to ever be pope more than once. But he wasn't remembered because of that. Instead, he was remembered for his unexplained behavior. In this video, I will go over all the unthinkable things he did. From spending too much money to engaging in homosexual activities, Benedict IX is everything but a pope, as he went down in history as one of the most un-pope popes to ever sit in the Vatican. Welcome to Crazy Histories, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest facts from human history. Some of the things discussed in this video may be offensive or disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. It's obvious that there is only one Catholic Church. In fact, the Catholic Church was the only Christian church in Europe. On the other hand, the Orthodox faith is popular in Russia and the Byzantine Empire. Because of this, both the Pope in Rome and the Patriarch of the Orthodox Church in Constantinople are trying their hardest to win over each other and successfully make theirs the only Christian church. But time is proof that despite all the war and the money spent, neither side could successfully get the upper hand. You see, aside from having enormous authority and influence as religious leaders, the popes and patriarchs were frequently powerful political figures as well. In addition to this, the popes exercised varying degrees of political authority over the church. Also, they received money from churches and cathedrals across Western Europe in the form of tithes and other payments. I mean, devotees can be very generous when it comes to their faith. In other words, the church was incredibly rich. Well, at least for much of history. If you connect the dots, you will realize that as the head of the church, the Pope has access to this money. If you're a history buff, which I believe you are, I'm sure you heard about how Pope John XII almost drove the Catholic Church into bankruptcy. Who is Benedict IX? The church is worth millions. Even before, the church was known to make a lot of money, which is why Pope John XII was able to spend a lot. Breaking down the number, a large part of these expenditures was spent on military campaigns, booze, women, gambling, and all other very unspoken expenses. While everyone thought that the Catholic Church had already learned its lesson, another pope entered the picture. In the 11th century, Benedict IX is set to write another chapter in his own history as one of the worst popes ever. Surprisingly, or maybe not, Pope John XII and Benedict were members of the same extended family, which is the Tusculum clan of Rome. The family is known for their bragging rights for allegedly being related to the Caesars. While no one really knows if this holds any truth, one thing is for sure: they were very powerful during the early Middle Ages, to the point they were able to get someone from their lineage elected as pope. How? Well, during the time of John XII, the people of Rome were given the power to elect whomever they wanted to be pope. And we all know how human nature works. The people of Rome were easily bribed, which is why the families who want to put one of their own on the papal throne are expected to spend millions just to secure one of the highest leaders in the Catholic Church. This also explains how Benedict IX became pope. When he was elected as such, he was required to select a papal name. Benedict comes from the Latin word for blessed, but Benedict's real name was Theophylactus, which means the guardian of God, or guarded by God. Whatever his name might mean, it seems like Benedict was destined to be pope. Not to mention how he has his powerful family ready to spend a sum of money just to secure his spot on the papal throne. And just like that, he became pope not only once, not only twice, but 3 times. Benedict was also related to 2 other popes, Benedict VIII and John XIX. When John XIX died, the Tusculum family decided to use their money and power to get Benedict elected pope. However, his rise to the papacy was not very pleasant. This was because the enemies of Benedict and the Tusculum clan decided to start a smear campaign against them. This is when bizarre accusations against Benedict started flooding in. At some point, they accused the Pope of bestiality. In fact, there are a lot of records that would back up these accusations. Benedict sat as Pope for 12 years, and he made those 12 years count. He partied like there was no tomorrow, and as expected, he offended everyone, like literally everyone in Rome during that time. You might be wondering how a pope can even party in the first place. You see, there was no rule directing or requiring a pope to remain chaste, but it was highly encouraged by the church. In fact, it became common during that time for priests and clerics to take a vow of celibacy. But as you can see, Benedict didn't care about any of it. On top of that, there were even rumors that Benedict was homosexual. While most of you might think this was out of the ordinary, it was not during such a period. Well, at least for ordinary people. It was believed that if a man didn't publicize his attraction to people of the same sex, homosexuality is fairly tolerated. This is because homosexuality was common back then, but not among popes. However, Benedict was not the first pope to have done this. In fact, records revealed popes such as Julius II, Paul II, Sixtus IV, and many others engaged in such relationships. But it's also important to note that these popes already have a long-standing relationship with other men, whereas Benedict didn't. Let's just say he was pretty wild. Rumors suggest that Benedict engaged in very open and random relationships, not to mention how his encounters most of the time include more than just one partner. This is why Benedict gained a ton of enemies who launched a smear campaign against him. But despite all of these, historians revealed that no one really proved his homosexuality or his homosexual acts. At most, everything was a result of propaganda against him because he was hated by many people. But wait, there's more. While historians weren't convinced about the other accusations, they were certain that Benedict was not the prime example of what a pope should be like. At some point during his papacy, Benedict was accused of engaging in orgies. He doesn't care if you're a man, a woman, single, or even married. Because of this, he was forced to leave Rome. Just imagine the uproar this resulted in. In case you are not aware, forcing a pope from Rome is not an easy thing to do. He is a symbol of the church and a representative of Christ here on earth, which is why he is more than anything, infallible. Not to mention that the people of Rome were the ones who elected him. So, for them to decide enough is enough means Benedict must have done something very serious. Maybe some of the rumors were actually true. So, how did Benedict remain in Rome? Well, simple. He asked for help from Conrad III, the Holy Roman Emperor. Because of this, he was ushered back to Rome. Most of his enemies were taken care of as well, while he successfully secured his place in the Vatican once more. Being Pope again on April 1045, Benedict was Pope again. He successfully took the papacy back from Sylvester III, but his stay didn't last long. A month later, Benedict decided to give up the papacy. Why? He was doubtful of his capacity to resist his enemies, and on the side, he was also planning to marry his first cousin. Okay, I guess that is one valid reason to step down. Again, it was not entirely legal to marry such close kin, but still, this was not something a pope would do. Of course, Benedict didn't want to just leave the Vatican without a bang. On May 1045, Benedict talked to his godfather, who later became Pope Gregory VI. Their negations include selling the papacy for 1,000 pounds of silver and the promise that he will receive the tithes of Great Britain as a salary. While this move was not morally acceptable, Gregory was still accepted as Pope because of one main reason. He was not Benedict. However, that didn't last long. Only 1 year after he stepped down from the position, Benedict decided he wanted to be Pope again. No one really knows the reason why. Even history books aren't certain about the true reason for his return. Was it the power, the money, the authority, or maybe his marriage didn't work out? Nonetheless, he gathered a small army and off to Rome they marched. He was able to take over the Vatican for a year, and the people still recognized his godfather, Gregory VI, to be the real pope, while Sylvester III proclaims he is still the pope because he was illegally removed from his position. It was a fiasco, and the people of Rome sought help from the then Holy Royal Emperor Henry III. He called the Council of Sutri and advised Gregory VI to give up the position, saying he committed simony after he bought the position from Benedict. After that, He ordered that Sylvester and Benedict be deposed. The former had no choice but to give in, while Benedict insisted and refused. In the end, Henry III placed Clement II. But his reign didn't last because he died after 2 years. And guess what? Benedict came back. He took the opportunity and entered the Pope's palace and proclaimed himself Pope. 9 months later, Henry III successfully removed Benedict once more and installed the ever-popular Damasus II. After that, Benedict was tried for simony and was then excommunicated from the church. He was not punished severely, only banned from returning to the church ever again. But for someone who tried his hardest to be Pope for the 3rd time, I guess this punishment is bad enough. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to like and subscribe for more. See you.